Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Matchbook Horse Racing podcast. And this is all about York's Ebor Festival. I'm at York, as it happens, looking out onto the tracks, looking glorious ahead of 4 days on the Naves Mile. There's a bit of a breeze out there. I think we're expecting quick ground, certainly first couple of days. Might be a bit of rain around on Friday. But by and large, I think we're going to be dealing with the downpours we had at Goodwood, which, put paid to the intended close to that festival. And so good racing we've got coming your way, albeit not the biggest fields for the group races on the Wednesday, although the Thursday's feature race looks a pretty deep renewal. Joined by Charlie Post, and I'm looking forward to York. Charlie, you?
Yeah, definitely, mate. It's just you and me solo again. Ed Quigley, a late dropout, buddy. But yeah, I think this is really one of the best meetings always of the entire year. And you know, York's a brilliant track, well managed, loads of prize money on offer, and some really good horses. Like you say, a little bit disappointing certainly with the Juddmonte tomorrow, the International. But apart from that, some big field handicaps with loads of quality. And yeah, I can't wait for the next 4 days because there's something for everyone, isn't there?
Yeah, there's over 100 grand on offer each race. So that means that some of those handicaps are ultra competitive. A reminder, as you may have seen at the bottom of your screen there, to head to insights.matchbook.com for a recap of all of our best bets. And please do like and subscribe. If you like our content, then it's well worth liking and subscribing. It helps you to watch it all, to listen to it all, and it helps us as well. Okay, let's get stuck into the first of the previews, and that is the Juddmonte International. No, not the biggest turnout, as we know for it, and Paddington is atop the betting. Paddington at 1.7, Mostadaf is 3.5, Nashwa is 13.0, and the Foxes in there at 21.0. I'll come to you first of all, Charlie. How easy was it for you to find a bet in this, and how strong are you?
I mean, I feel, look, as in, I'm probably not at my strongest with this. It just really came down to prices, and I'm sure it's going to end up with one of these egg on the face scenarios taking Paddington on. But I'm going with Mostadaf, and like I say, it was more. I just struggled to see Paddington at 1.57 or something like that was what I was seeing him marked up at. That I just felt, you know, you look at Goodwood last time, the ground ended up very slow. Inspiral was definitely not suited by that for all that she bounced back on her next start. And then I went back to the Eclipse as well. And Emily Upjohn, you know, she's done nothing for the form in a subsequent start. And I just felt in Mostadaf, he was probably taking on a rival that's the best one yet, who seems to be coming to his peak, and 10 furlongs on fast ground is definitely his optimum. I thought he looked excellent at Ascot when he beat Luxembourg. And then even before that, you know, the run in Maidan where he was beat by Equinox over 12 furlongs, I felt he was the one that paid for trying to go with that rival. And like I say, 10 furlongs seems to be all that he's about. And so just at the prices, I think it was 3.50 or something like that Mostadaf was, as against the 1.55, 1.6 Paddington. I was willing to be against him for all that, like I say, I think it is possibly lukewarm, because maybe there's every chance that he's going to prove to be well up to this task, Tom.
Yeah, I'd be against Paddington as well, for all he's looked brilliant this year. It's just he's had a lot of goes, and I guess the most impressive performance was the defeat of Emily Upjohn off the back of her brilliant run at Epsom. You know, yes, he hammered a Guineas winner in Chaldean. I'm just not sure about the depth to that race, nor so the race last time. But maybe it's that he's best over 10. It's just this race has had shocks in the past. I mean, Golden Horn got beaten this. I don't know. I think with Mostadaf and Nashwa in there, you know, these are two proper horses. Nashwa, a multiple top level winner. I was really taken with her run at Newmarket over the mile. Last time didn't work out at all. But, you know, I think a sound surface over this trip, particularly if they don't go any pace, where's the pace going to come from? She's quick. So I'm going to back her just small stakes at 13.0. When I made the selection, she was a little bit bigger. We might be completely wrong and completely stupid, and Paddington will absolutely bolt up. It just doesn't do it for me. And I thought there was enough of a reason, as I say, with Mostadaf, who looks a proper 10 furlong horse. I'm not convinced last time everything ran to form. or just maybe Luxembourg, Adayar, My Prospero, Bay Bridge. For all three of those are top level winners. Maybe they're not that good, but I don't know. I thought Paddington at the prices was just worth being against. I'd much rather be against than with anyway. All right, moving
Yeah, I
on.
completely agree with that. And I, like you say, that was the other factor that I didn't touch on there. Tactically, I can't see any other scenario bar Paddington having to make his own running. That, like, there's no way Mostadaf goes forward. I can't see over 10 furlongs Nashwa bowling along because she's a keen goer. And again, the Fox is the sort of horse he is. I'd be surprised if he takes up the running. So Ryan Moore's going to have to cut out his own running, which makes it. Look, he can set his own fractions, and he can make the race to run to suit himself. But I'm also not sure it's the ideal scenario for him over 10 furlongs, having to bowl along in front and be there to be shot at by everything else.
Yeah, I agree. I think I think he will go forward. I think it's a possible negative for him. Then again, if the Foxes goes forward, he gets a toe into the race. He'll probably all of a sudden in running, I'd want to back him. But there we are. Okay, let's go back in time. We're going to start at the top with the 155.5 furlongs for a heritage handicap. I've just named the prices of the horses we're putting up because it's 9.0 the field. I'll kick off with a couple, Charlie, if I can. First of all, we haven't really seen far side, so lower numbers come out on top this year at all at York. I've got a horse in 7 who I like in the form of Corker, who is a previous course winner. The regional form is very strong when he was a bit slower away than ideal. And he's run sound races on his last couple of starts. There should be a lot more to come from this 4-year-old who is a previous course winner. If you look at his last start of the track, when he was sent off at the top of the market, he had excuses because there was serious interference suffered at the start. So I like his regional form at the track, and I think the 5.5 here is ideal. And the other one I'll just have a little bit on is Ventura Express for Graham Lee and Paul Midgley, who ran really well behind Copper Knight here a couple of starts ago, has often run well at the track. And again, I think the 5.5 will be absolutely ideal. I think he's well drawn in 16, and he's just a bit keen over the 6 last time. So I'll chance him at 17.0. Charlie, who do you like and why? Did you get me there, Charlie? Can you hear me? I feel like I've lost Charlie, unless he can't hear me, which is awkward given that there are only 2 of us. Incidentally, Dave has come in with a comment who says, "Who will be the first to mention the Knavesmire has the best value champagne in the country?" Dave, that's a very good point. It really does. There's a bar which runs just alongside the paddock where I think you can get a bottle of champagne for about 30 quid. Try doing that at any other sporting venue. And they've also got the Flying Frankie bar they've just opened there as well, which is named after Frankie himself. And they've got a very special pale ale there, which is my sort of drink. Not that I've had one today. We're going to get Charlie back in soon enough. I'm going to kick on. Incidentally, Charlie's shout is Corker, so he agrees with that. Let's move on to the Acom, and then I'll get Charlie back in. There's not the biggest field for this. There's only 6 in it, which is a bit disappointing on the face of it. But it is I think a decent renewal with Ballymount Boy in there, who's 3.5, Cogitate, who's 4.33, Edwardian, who's 5.0, Loose Cannon 8.0, bigger prices thereafter. Ballymount Boy, has obviously been purchased by Wathnan Racing. They've got a big week with runners in those colours in the Yorkshire Cup and also the Great Vulture that we're going to come to. Isaac Shelby might run in the handicap later in the week as well, but I think he's a shrewd purchase. Incidentally, the guy that bought him, who works for Connections, wanted to buy him as a breeze-up horse, and I think was the underbidder on it, and has since picked him up subsequently. His form looks very strong with Van Dijk coming out and winning the Group 1 at the weekend. The Hamilton run, he was sent off bang at the top of the betting, did it very nicely, but it's obviously the Van Dijk form which is stand out. And it looks on pedigree, the stamina on his damn side, it looks as though he'll appreciate the step up in distance to 7 furlongs. I think he probably will. But Charlie and I both like the chances of Cogitate. I'm probably falling into I was there trap with Cogitate because I was there at Newbury when the horse won. And I was hugely taken with that effort. This is a race where there's a certain point in July you can't have won before if you're going to line up here. I think it was more coincidence that Charlie Hills ran him after the whatever it is in July, and he won on debut. But he clearly wasn't expected to win on debut. He was sent off at 15.0, but it was the better of the two divisions, I think, comfortably. He was still green at the start, and I thought he saw the distance out really well. Straight afterwards, I spoke to Charlie Hills and asked him what he wanted to do next, and he pointed out that he'd won the Aiken with previous horses like Dutch Connection and Phoenix of Spain, and that's exactly where they'd go. So I thought there was just enough juice in that price to side with Cogitate personally against Ballymount Boy, but I do think that horse is a proper horse, so I would be surprised if it went elsewhere. Edwardian Aidan O'Brien hasn't won this race, I don't think, for about 20 years, and he certainly doesn't run his best juveniles in it. He had a much better fancied horse who's been taken out. And Loose Cannon won over course and distance on debut. Interesting they've gone for the tongue tie here, but I don't know. He doesn't fully convince me. For all that they tend to improve for the run, I think the top two have got a serious level of form, and at the prices, I'd just rather side with Cogitate over Ballymount Boy, but I really respect the second mentioned. The 3 o'clock is the Skybet Great Voltager. Gregory is the horse at the top of the betting there, who's 2.2. Continuous is 3.5. Castleway is 4.5, and then into the bigger prices. Gregory is not a horse I want to take on by any stretch. There is a horse I want to take on who I've already covered, but he certainly doesn't fit that bill. I think he could easily be better than the Ascot Gold Cup winner, to be honest. I certainly think when Wathnam Racing purchased these two horses, that Gregory was probably considered the better of them at the stage they picked him up. He won well at Goodwood before. I thought he fairly bolted up, didn't he, at Ascot? And this is the obvious race for him, as is the St. Leger. So I would imagine that's where he'll head. And I think he'll probably take this. But at a price, I thought it was just worth chancing Artistic Star. Now, when this horse ran at Sandown back on the 16th of May, he walked in the paddock, and you wouldn't necessarily have gone wild about him, but what he did out on the track, I was really taken with, really impressed with, and Rafe Beckett was very positive about him subsequently. He said he had an Irish Derby entry and a Derby entry, and he said, well, I think we'll go the Derby route with him. And at the time I thought, blimey, that's a bit lofty for a horse who's just beaten a horse, Torito, on his second start. I wasn't convinced by Torito, but that horse has come out and run well since. I think Epsom sort of put him back, a run on quick ground at a quirky track like Epsom. He then ran in behind King of Steel, where there were a few other horses that disappointed in that, Dubai Mile being one of them. Arrest, certainly one of them, has come out and won subsequently. But I thought he shaped for a little bit further that day. I'm willing to forgive anyone a run at Goodwood when, of course, it was very testing on the day he ran, and it had got holding by then. Just think that a test at this trip on sound surface might be what he needs. And this is obviously a good pointer towards a Ledger. It suits a stayer, and I think Artistic Star is definitely a stayer at this trip. And I'm hoping that another Jeff Smith horse can cause a bit of a surprise, as was the case in the Juddmonte International a few years ago. So I will chance Artistic Star at the prices. Oh, thank goodness, he's back. We missed your selection, Charlie, so I'm going to take you back if I can. We missed Corker, so come in with that over the 5.5 back in the 150.
Yeah, I mean, just basically, I know you were with him as well. I mean, for me, he's got an excellent record at York. I think he's been in the first 5 times from his 7 starts there. He's been he was a little unfortunate earlier on in the year. He had issues at a York behind Chipstead and Haydock behind Regional, either being slow out the gate or being hampered early on. He's backed that up with 2 solid runs, one at Newcastle behind Vintage Clarets, and at Sandown behind Dream Composer, where he looked for all the world through 3/4 of that last furlong like he was going to go and record the victory there. I've been with him a couple of times this year, and he's got pace all around him. There was, off the top of the head, Copper Knight, Intrinsic Bond, and One Night Stand, all drawn in and around him to give him a toe into the race, and Carl Burke's flying along. So I thought this horse was overdue a victory,
and yeah, Corker win and place for me in the 150, Tom.
And then in the Acom, I gave a strong mention to Cogitate. I can't see past Ballymount Boy and Cogitate, who won on debut at Newbury. I don't know what you want to add to Cogitate.
I mean, not a lot, but bar the fact that I thought he looked mightily impressive, looked like a horse with a really big action as well. Charlie Hills has got a good record in this race as well, I think, over the last couple of years. And I think off the top of my head, that it was the same maiden at Newbury that Chaldean won before he came en route to win in the Acom as well. So
it was indeed. It was.
To be honest, I was actually against Ballymount Boy as well. We'll come to that later on, but I thought he was flattered in the race at Goodwood on slow ground. So I'll be willing to take him on, as we'll discuss later on in the programme.
Okay. Then we can come back to the 3 o'clock. So Artistic Star for me. He incidentally is my Matchbook Zero long shot. I will come to Matchbook Zero a little bit later on. Who are you with, Charlie?
Yeah, it's funny. I thought Gregory might be tough to beat, but again, I wasn't wild about him at the prices, and yeah, we both fall upon the Gordon Stakes at Goodwood for our selection, and I come with the one that's finished a place in front of yours in Canberra Legend. He was good in the Fielden Stakes earlier on this year. I thought at York in the Dante behind the Foxes, he was slotted in and just looked like a bit of a galloper. He got lost off that tempo and couldn't really get into it. The run behind White Piero was better at Ascot, and again behind Desert Hero at Goodwood. He just got stuck in a pocket and took a while to get out. For all that, probably Desert Hero was in a similar scenario, but again, Desert Hero were looking at the Ledger favourite, and I just thought this lad was too big. I thought a mile and a half round York big galloping track might be ideal for him. I'd probably, if I'm being honest, love to see him ridden a little bit more prominently than he has been recently. And of course, the Ferguson team took this race out last year with Deauville Legend, who maybe had a slightly better profile, but for all of that, quite a similar profile to this horse. So I thought Canberra Legend win and place for me at 17.0. Could see him outrunning those odds.
Giles, who loves his stallions, I know. You're not a Zoffany fan, aren't you, Giles? I remember that. You've said about Camacho. You said Ballymount being a Camacho and ultimately a second-rate stallion. There you are. So we'll see. Brutal. Yeah. I don't know where Camacho stands, but apologies. Let's move on to the 410 then. This has Robert Johnson and Zandabad atop the betting 7.0, Aztec Empire 7.5, bigger prices. The rest, I'm with Aztec Empire very loosely. I think the Sweet William form is good, and I supported the horse at a big price in the Northumberland Plate when he got me half excited. He proved himself on turf last time. He's just a 4-year-old who's been running very consistently in this sort of grade. So I thought he was very likely to be there or thereabouts on a sounder. Newbury on soft ground clearly didn't suit, but I think a sounder surface will. He's largely very consistent, and 7.5 was just about big enough. Charlie?
Yeah, if that's Aztec Empire, I could definitely see that. He was one that I nearly came down with as my selection, but I ended up looking a bit further afield, and the Max We Can win and place for me. He's come down £4 since the start of the season. He ran okay at Ascot behind a horse with no name, and maybe for all that he's a stayer, he's only really 2 miles have been sort of as far as he's ever won over, and I just thought that maybe he was flattening out a bit late on there. He was beat 9 lengths on that day, and then at Newcastle in the Northumberland Plate behind Corn in the Wind, he finished lame, so we can put a line through that. Jamie Spencer is back on board, and he was the last person to win on this horse at Ascot last year off 92. And he loves quick ground. He's been taken out quite a lot when the ground conditions have been anything slower than that. And just off a mark at 90, again, he's 15.0. I just thought he was interested in win and place this horse because, like I say, he's handicapped to be getting back on track.
Okie dokie. That is Wednesday done and dusted as far as the selections go. The Max Buchanan's Charlie's Matchbook Zero long shot, which is what we come to now. Remember, Matchbook Zero, the markets go live at 10 a.m. each day, and there's zero margin, zero commission. So well worth you taking advantage of. you're most likely to get best odds with the nature of the exchange, which I've explained umpteen times without any margin or any commission. It really is a bit of a no-brainer. Mine is Artistic Star in the 3 o'clock. And Charlie, you've just covered yours.
My long shot is the max we can, and then for me, if we're going to the lays, like I said, Ballymount Boy at under 3.0 in the Acom, and that leads me on to my best bet, Tom, which is Cogitate.
Yeah, there you go. Ballymount Boy for a lay. I'm going to lay Paddington, Charlie. I
was tempted.
Yeah, I think there's enough. This race, it just can be brutal for this track. I remember Tagruda getting beaten here. Yeah, I don't think this is a penalty kick, so I'm going to lay Paddington. Confirm your best bet for me, please, Charlie.
Yeah, Cogitate in the Acom there for me as well.
Okay, and I'll go Corker in the opener. We both agree with that. We're either going to have a really bad day or a good day, Charlie.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a worry.
Yeah.
Moving on then to day 2. Now, the Per Tips Network Yorkshire Oaks is a renewal and a half, I think. So if you're slightly disappointed by the turnout on Thursday, you can't be disappointed with the feature on Friday. Top of the betting, I guess unsurprisingly, is Save the Last Dance. We don't agree here, incidentally. 4.33, Blue Stocking 5.0, Free Win 6.0, Al Hussein 8.0, bigger prices the rest. Make the case for yours, Charlie. Then I tell you why you're wrong.
Yeah, quite. No, I'm happy to. As in, it was one of those. I went through a lot of these, and I wanted to be against Save the Last Dance on account of what is likely going to be quick ground conditions. You know, she looked much happier again, the Irish Oaks, last time on soft ground. But then I kind of looked at it and I thought, well, it's not like she ran bad at Epsom on quick ground. She just got beat when we all expected her to win at odds on. And then I went through them, and Blue Stocking, I wasn't really sure why the form should be reversed from the Curragh the last time. Free Wind, I think, is fairly exposed. Al Hussein is stepping up to 12 furlongs for the first time. And again, you know, the best performances have come on slow ground. And then again, Warm Heart, yes, she's going to be better suited by quick ground like this time, but do I think she can beat Save the Last Dance? And I wasn't really sure, Tom. So just by a process of being negative about some of the others, I've ended up siding with the favourite, and yes, Save the Last Dance will do for me.
Yeah, so I'm negative about a few of these, but at the top of the market, I think she's take on a bull, Save the Last Dance. Just on the way she raced last time as well. I think if they get away from her here on a sounder surface, she was impressive given that she managed to win. But she had a hard race as well. And for me, she's take on a bull. Blue Stocking, they were umming and ahhing about running. And it's just the Rafe Beckett comments about this filly. You know, they were talking about minding her and just taking their time with her. They're not doing that. And I don't know. I think she could easily reverse form with Blue Stocking. With Save the Last Dance, but I don't want to play at the prices to find out. Free Wind, I'm now not convinced about, particularly on a sounder surface. Al Hussein, if it's quick ground, would be a slight concern for me. And then you get to Warm Heart, who I thought ran a pretty good race in at the Curragh, and I don't know. I can see she's overpriced at 11.0. You know, she won the Ribblesdale on quick ground. Just thought it's the case of the Stable Companion taking up most of the market, so she's not really fancied. I thought she was a bit overlooked. And the other one is Novakai, who shaped well here behind Soul Sister, who won the Oaks. It didn't work out at all. I think she's tricky in the French Oaks, and then last time she was back on song. I think she's clearly got a lot of ability. Like the commissioning Group 1 form, we haven't seen that filly this year because she was injured. It is solid enough. So I just thought she was worth a chance at 17.0. The fact you got 10 means I'll play both of those win and place against the top of the market. Okay. Let's move on, or going back to the start of the day, to the 150. It's the Lowther. Relief Rally's 3.0. Cherry Blossom is 3.25. Flora Bermuda 5.5. Bigger prices the rest. I'm with Relief Rally, who I thought was excellent last time at Newbury. I think the 6 here will definitely suit, and she should basically be unbeaten. 3.0, I think, fair enough. Charlie?
Yeah, I'm taking her on with one from that Queen Mary race and Beautiful Diamond, who I was with on that occasion. This filly was very impressive at Nottingham, and like I say, I thought she'd go and take the Queen Mary out. She ran fine. I mean, she was disappointing again, maybe because she's favourite, but on the face of it, she ran a perfectly acceptable race. Afterwards, Carl Burke talked to her as a big scopy filly that they were going to go gently with. So we haven't seen her for the guts of a couple of months, which I'm taking as a positive. And again, I thought for all the world the extra furlong would suit this filly very well. And it's a tricky one because, again, I was very, very strong on Relief Rally when she won the Super Sprint last time. My feeling about being with Beautiful Diamond, Win and Place, is that I don't think there is as much between them as the market is making her out to be, personally. And so it's more a price-related thing. Could I see Relief Rally winning? 100% I could. It's just, if you ask me, of the two, if I can be with Beautiful Diamond and having a place option at 13.0 or back in Relief Rally at under 3.0 to win the race, I'm going to side with the one at the bigger price. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah, I think that's very much fair enough. Moving on to the Harry Beebe Premier Yearling Stakes. I started off here, Charlie, and I thought, I'm not going to have anything in this. And then I went down them and I thought, well, I could back a Hannon horse. And now I'm backing two. And one of whom you're going to back. Go on.
Yeah, as in, like you say, it's a pretty good starting point because I think he's won 5 of the last 10 run-ins of these races. And so I came down with Persica. I mean, he disappointed on debut, never really got going, missed the kick at Leicester, never happened. They backed him up 3 days later, which, again, I'm taking as a real positive. I'm seeing that as the trainer thought, I expected a lot more. This horse hasn't switched on, hasn't turned up in any way, shape or form. And they chucked him back out at Salisbury, and under a positive ride. I'd encourage anyone, whether you want to back him or not, to go back and watch this race, because I thought he looked really impressive the way he went through it. He looked like a big scopy horse, massive action. I really liked the way he hit the line, very, very strong. And then you chuck into the equation, Richard Hannon's won 5 of the last 10. I think Martin Hughes has owned 3 of those, and then Sean Levy has ridden 4 of those 5 winners. So yeah, these races are brilliant because they offer a load of prize money, often for horses maybe that aren't the most expensive ones in the world. But you can write off a stack of the field. And so yeah, I think when it comes down to it, it's going to be between not as many as the field size makes out. And like I say, I'm really interested in Persica. I thought he looked he might end up being a good deal better than this sort of quality of animal and race.
Yeah, I'm going to back Persica as well, who I mean, it was sort of surprising for a horse to run so soon off the back of disappointing, but I subsequently found out that's because he's pretty highly regarded. It was just a blowout run on debut at Leicester, and then he was very good at Salisbury when putting that performance well behind him. So he was still a bit green out the gate, still went a little bit left, but yeah, I think he's probably worth backing, and he's better over the 6. And then the other one is Love Billy Boy, who, the form of the Musper run's okay, in particular with the Amy Murphy horse coming out. That was a Sunday Series race, and they tend to be pretty strong for the grade. He was backed into favouritism and duly won. And then at Sandown, who knows what happened? Really disappointing. But it was 91 days ago, so I'll chance him. He's a big price. Think he could be well drawn. And yeah, definitely worth having a Hannon one on side, I think. The Clipper Handicap, the 3 o'clock. Again, I'll give you the prices when we get there. How sweet are you on Aku Najla?
Yeah, I am pretty sweet. As in, I must admit, I went through this race before the prices went up. So, the fact that he's favourite, I maybe might have anticipated him being a couple of points bigger, and that I could have played him more win and place. But I'm still very keen on him. Like, if you go back through his form, and when he's My Prospero last year, like, he had solid form in handicaps behind decent horses that are probably group class. Well, in My Prospero's case, definitely group class. And then again, if you look back, he'd been off a while, turned up at Ascot at the end of July, and I thought it was really eye-catching. He was slotted in, and he made really decent late progress through the field. We beat a length and a half, and was very, very strong at the line. I think the mark of 97, which granted he ran off at Ascot as well, is workable, and there's 100% a decent pot in him. The variant team are also flying as well, and I think this big field will suit him. He's drawn him 4, which I think is okay. He'll get a toe into the race as long as he gets out well. And I think, like I say, a decent gallop for a horse with plenty of class and a strong travelling way about him will suit him really well. And with only 5 starts under his belt, I think it's noticeable they're chucking him into a pot like this. And they obviously hopefully see him as a group horse in the making. But on the way, why not go and pick up 77 grand for winning this handicap on the way through?
Yeah, can see that. I'm not against by any stretch at 7.5. I'd just rather play at a bigger price Sunny Liston at around about 13.0. The run at Ascot in the first time blinkers was obviously excellent. I mean, he's probably drawn the right side. And then here he was keen and didn't settle in the John Smith's Cup. So I think he's definitely better than that. Back over a mile, Goodwood wasn't, I don't think, really going to be his track when he never got a run. But I think he's just a bit disregarded off the back of it. There are obvious excuses for his last 2 runs. If you put him in here off the back of Ascot, he's half the price. So I will take him with Ryan Moore back on board, who was on for Ascot. Let's move on to the Sir Henry Cecil Gulcher Stakes. I got nothing, Charlie. I thought this was just too difficult. So all yours, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I was very tempted to do the same as you and just dismiss the race, but I kind of, like I say, I went through them. C theme of Haggis's, a huge respect for them, and even one evening with that listed race falling behind Voodoo Queen. But I just thought the one at the top of the market, Budara, was quite a high bar for some of these fillies to aim at, for all that some of them might end up going beyond her. And again, she Baju Bawi, she's out of a Group 1 winning mare, Narain. And, she'd been very impressive at Kempton, beating very, very ordinary opposition, in all honesty. But she won by 13 lengths and could do no more than that, and put up pretty good figures, in all honesty, as well. And then she went next to Haydock for the Group 3 there. And she looked like she was going to run a big race for a long way up the straight, and just weakened out the back a bit late on to be beat 4 lengths by Sea Silk Road. But in all honesty, the handicapper still saw fit to actually raise her mark, for all that she finished 5th of 5, to raise her mark by a further £4. And yes, she has a penalty to concede, etc. She has to carry 909, sorry, but she has to concede weight for age. But like I say, I thought at the prices of 5.0, she was actually quite attractive in this race, because I thought plenty of the other main form protagonists actually had quite a bit of a jump to get up to her sort of level, Tom. So yeah, Modara for me, for all that she wouldn't be one of my best bets of the day.
Yeah, thought it was a trappy enough race. That's us done there. So we move on to any other bets. Yes, Stratford at 3:15. Love this.
Yeah,
why
100%.
not?
Just, Dan Skelton's had the one runner. Obviously, they've just come back from the jump jockey's break, and it was a winner at Bangor yesterday with an inmate, first time for the yard from Lucy Wadhams. The horse's name actually escapes me right now off the top of my head. But horse with a similar profile now, Batiyar, came from Harry Whittington's. Like I say, first run for Dan Skelton, been bought by fairly shrewd connections, Nick Sutton, for his son Ben to ride. Had the wind off, and it just, again, a horse off a mark of 97, been dropped 4 from the horse's last start for Harry Whittington. Just thought this was a one to definitely keep an eye on. I can't see any reason why he won't be tuned and ready to go tomorrow. But either way, I'll be backing him. Sorry, not tomorrow. I'll be backing him on Thursday, and regardless, I'll be following him through on his next couple of starts, because with these connections, Dan Skelton and the Suttons we saw last year, they're well able to pick on up for a shrewd price, and then they can rattle up a sequence.
All right, Matchbook Zero long shot next. Matchbook Zero, do check it out if you haven't. There is 0 margin, 0 commission. So you are almost certain to be taking advantage of better odds if that is where you choose to play. Markets live at 10 a.m. each day. My Matchbook Zero long shot is Sunny Liston in the 3 o'clock at York. Charlie.
Beautiful diamond in the Lauda for me.
And no lay for you, Charlie. Is that right?
No late on the Thursday. No.
Me neither. Nice open fields for that race. So just best bets. Charlie, post your best bet on Thursday.
Yeah, Najla in the handicap, taken to exploit that mark before moving on to better things.
And I'll go for Relief Rally in the Lowther in the opening race. The 150. I think 6 furlongs will be absolutely fine. Good stuff, Charlie. Thanks ever so much.
Pleasure, mate. And enjoy the week up at York. I'll be watching on.
Really looking forward to it. As long as it stays sunny like it is at the moment, I'll be very happy indeed. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back on Thursday for a preview. That's going to be a little bit earlier on. That's going to be for the Friday and the Saturday. I think it's around about 11:30, but we'll confirm that for you. Keep an eye out on social media. Don't forget to like and subscribe and head to insights.matchbook.com for a recap of all our best bets. Producer Daniel Hussey will have that up for you soon enough. Have a good week. Bye-bye.